Hello there, and welcome to the Marketing SOS Show. I'm your host, Eric E., and the purpose of this show is to connect with you and find out what your issues are in the realm of marketing and business, and helping out in whatever way I can. So on each episode, I'll take a question from the audience and do my very best to answer it. And that's just like this week. I have an email from Crystal, who's a little hung up on how to market to charities. Her company is doing really well. It's pivoting to a new vertical, trying to target charities for their existing product. And Crystal is new to the organization and needs some help in figuring out the right strategy to tackle this. And let's get to Crystal's question and my answer right after this. So, Crystal writes, "Hi Eric, I need some help. After a long period of being unemployed due to illness, I finally managed to secure a position as head of marketing for a successful and lucrative company. They're a company that offers small businesses the option to rent card payment routers at a reduced cost. The business is doing incredibly well and has identified a new area of marketability, charities. I am now in charge of the strategy for this. Charities aren't easy to market to for a number of reasons. While I have no doubt that this service would be genuinely beneficial to them, they don't know the service exists. My role is to come up with a strategy to educate the charity industry on these services and try to convert them. I have never worked with marketing for charities before, and I'm kind of stumped. For a start, the business has no contacts in the industry. Charities generally don't have a single person at the helm to discuss business with. I can't just walk into a charity shop and start a sales pitch to the volunteer behind the cash desk. I considered email marketing and social media marketing, but again, without any contacts or connections, I don't know how that would work yet. Their website could do with a real overhaul in terms of SEO, which I've already written a strategy for. I've already done my pitch for blogs on the website. However, nobody is searching for the service in the charity industry because they don't know it exists, so the site doesn't get a lot of action. The only idea I can come up with is print marketing, sending flyers to Charity HQ in the hopes of finding a contact who is interested. But I've already been told they'd rather not spend money on this. Apparently the guy in this job before me got fired for not having any ideas. Do you have any ideas that you could share? I really don't want to lose this job. This is a great opportunity for me and I don't want to blow it. Thank you." Well, Crystal, let's see what we can do here. I definitely don't want you to lose your job, and it sounds like you don't want to do too much print advertising. You need some fresh ideas on how to tackle this. So first things first, it sounds like your organization and you are getting a little caught up on the aspect that your customers are going to be charity-based. Yes, there's some challenges with charities. Unique industry, very unique organizations that have their own quirks. But don't get too caught up on it. At the end of the day, you're still selling a service and product to a customer who needs it. So focus on making that connection. So there are a few ways I would kind of look at tackling this to start off with. You mentioned social media is an idea, but you have no connections. Well, I think I understand where you're coming from. You're thinking about like a Facebook page with followers that you can then market to, but you're not going to get a ton of organic reach that way anyways. You're going to look at spending money. So if it's on Facebook, I'll do some Facebook advertising. And LinkedIn, look at InMail and then LinkedIn advertising as well. So here's how I would do it if I'm using social media. Get a list of all known charities in your area if you are selling only in a small geographic area, or a list of other charities that you would want to sell to in whatever market you're selling in, whatever the size is. So you have your list of charities, the names of organizations. Now go on Facebook, get Facebook advertising going, and try to target people who work at those organizations or list themselves as working at charities, or who participate or volunteer at charities. Now you make your Facebook ads to those people only. Don't worry about posting it to your Facebook page and the followers you don't have not seeing it. You can still advertise to all these people that meet your criteria and your segments. That's one way you should be using social media for this. The second platform I would look at, for business to business and for this kind of back and forth, I would almost not explore Instagram or Twitter or Snapchat, anything like that yet, but look at LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an undervalued advertising platform that you should absolutely be taking advantage of. So for instance, that list of charities that we just identified, you can target people that work at those organizations on LinkedIn. You can look at people that have certain job titles: manager, director, director of operations, director of sponsorship, whatever it is that will meet your ideal client internally in that charity. You can target them based on their job titles, or if their job descriptions on LinkedIn contain certain keywords that you want to target. So you can do in-mail, which is like a direct message to their LinkedIn inbox. They get an email and notified of it, where you can then pitch them. You can directly get to the charities and the people at those charities that you want to reach. And at the same time, just like Facebook, you can do advertisements in their timeline on LinkedIn as well. Not as personal, but might be a little more cost effective. Now another thing, if you have LinkedIn Premium and you can do a bunch of searches, you can find people at these organizations, like we just mentioned, that may be the decision makers, or at least know the decision makers, or can put things in front of the right people. So in this case, instead of just sending that print mail you were talking about aimlessly into the void, not addressed to anyone, but just to the charity's address, maybe you deploy that same piece of collateral addressed to someone specific at that organization to make sure it goes to them. This is an entirely different conversation you should have with your team to get their buy-in, because it's much more precise. You're going to be saving a lot of money as well, probably. You'll probably get a better response rate. So think about doing that. Now, you mentioned the organization doesn't have any contacts in the charity industry. Well, it's a great time to start getting some. Go to those networking events. Maybe sponsor those networking events. Maybe even get a time on stage talking to people in the charities about your product and how it did an incredible job with XYZ charity. Set up a booth at those networking events or trade shows, or just be there and talk to people and connect with them. Start networking in that industry. I know sometimes with marketing, you think we can sit behind a desk and deploy these strategies, but it sounds like your company puts you in charge of this strategy. So it's on you to make it or break it. I won't go too far into this next point because I'm sure this is something you looked at as the head of marketing, but figure out what your message is going to be. Get some testimonials. How much is it going to save them on costs, service, maintenance fees, transaction fees, etc.? Make sure this is all spelt out in your collateral, on landing pages, etc., etc. Now you mentioned blogs. Blogs can work. You never know what someone is going to be searching for. You should do some keyword research and find out. I think there's a lot of assumptions being made about charities not knowing this exists, and it's kind of informing all your decisions. Throw all that out the window and figure out how you would capture these customers, regardless of them being charities or not. Charities might not be looking for charity-specific content when they're Googling, but they're going to be looking for a solution to their problem. So maybe create content related to running events, or taking donations, or selling things related to car readers. Get into their head and figure out how they are searching. Do some keyword research and build your blogs and content around this. Another avenue you can look at, what about trade publications? Can you buy advertising there? Can you get editorials written? I don't know too much about the charity industry or different charities, but I'm sure there are some charity publications you can look at getting involved with. And at the same token, there's probably some influencers as well. I'm sure most people in the charity industry are connected with one another, similar charities. If you get those that they follow to start speaking about your product, the rest may quickly fall in line. You need to talk to some charities and find out how they think and how they operate. And again, look at what other services do they use. You can network and partner with some of these other services and organizations that they use, so that they may talk about your product. Maybe you can go all in together and offer solutions to these charities at a discounted group rate. That's just one idea. So there's a lot of ways you can take it, but get past the charity aspect. Don't get too focused on all the hang-ups regarding that word, and just look at it as you're connecting your services and products with customers who desperately need them. So, Crystal, thank you so much for the question, and I hope I helped. One thing I find that I think you have fallen into here, which I know I do, and I'm sure a lot of people in the audience have as well, is I see there are a lot of organizations where they have hangups. There's some fact or assumption that informs all their decision making and all their discussions that I don't know if anyone has actually explored whether or not that assumption is true. For example, you mentioned Charities having all these hangups or not knowing about your service and all these different reasons why it's going to be difficult. Not every charity is the same. Just like not every retailer, not every e-commerce shop, not every SaaS product is the same. Yeah, they have shades that are the same, but they are all different. They have different organizational structures, different budgets, different levels of comfort with technology, different ways of raising money. They're all completely different. So don't lump them all together. Don't make too many assumptions about them. And I think everyone listening, maybe step back and reevaluate some of your assumptions. Some of those anecdotal points that might be holding your organization back. It's always a good exercise to challenge your pre-existing beliefs so they don't limit you from opportunities in the future. So Crystal, once again, thank you. And thank you everyone out there for listening. I truly do appreciate it. And I would love if you could give me a rating and review in iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or wherever it is that you're listening. It really does help the show grow and expand my audience. So thank you in advance for that. Thank you all for listening. And with that, I am out.